Buckle up for AEC Trailblazers, The Founders Files, where we crack open the stories of the brightest minds in the AEC startup scene. Forget institutional pitches. We're diving deep into the real personal journeys of these industry disruptors. Get ready for some casual chats firsthand.
Welcome everybody to the Trailblazers podcast, The Founder Files, where we interview the most amazing founders of the AEC. Here with us, we have Josh Levy. Josh is a construction law and management expert, co-founded Document Crunch to empower the industry with clear contracts. His experience leading major firms and his passion for innovation fueled his vision for Document Crunch to empower people in construction to understand their contracts. Josh, do you want to say hi?
Hey, good to see you in my hometown of Miami.
Next time you're here, you should let me know and you can show me around. I've only been in Miami for 2 or 3 years only, so.
Well, I have to now ask because I just took my daughter down there recently. Have you ever been to Ceviche 105?
Well, that's a classic Peruvian thing here. So, been there.
It is like my favorite restaurant in the world, and where I live today in Atlanta, you cannot get that. And there's nothing like it. So I miss that a lot about Miami. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, we should do another podcast where we do only speak about restaurants in Miami. I even did a ranking about all my favorite restaurants there. So,
could you send it to me? I want to see it.
I did a spreadsheet. I even add points to it, and I will make sure to send it to you.
That's awesome.
But thanks for being with us here today, Josh. I feel what you're doing is so unique in the industry. So I do have a lot of questions for you, but can you start first telling us a little bit on how you started? I know you come from a law background. How you started, how you ended up in our industry?
Yeah, I ended up in our industry because when I attended the University of Florida undergraduate, I didn't know what to do. And the construction management school said, well, we are hiring 100% of our graduates get hired. So I said, that sounds like a good idea. So I signed up for the construction management program. I ended up really enjoying what I learned about the industry when I was there. But I did not, after doing some internships with large contractors, I did not want to go down the project management path. So I then did what a lot of confused kids do in the US, and I decided to go to law school. And, I didn't necessarily think that I was going to end up in construction law, but when I graduated from the University of Miami in 2010, it was really tough times, right? The economy was in a really bad place and no one could get jobs. But that construction management degree that I had was like a lottery ticket because the only area that was hot, and you're living what I'm about to say is all those high rises that were built during the boom were now all in litigation. And so there was a huge demand for construction lawyers, and the law firms, the only firms that were busy were firms that were dealing with construction litigation, and my knowledge and background of construction made me a great candidate. So I ended up having a practice that started out doing construction litigation. I ended up over time, as the market picked back up and times got better, getting more into project administration and negotiation of construction contracts. And then the reason why I left Miami was the Miami area was 9 years ago. A large general contractor, J.E. Dunn Construction, brought me in-house to Atlanta, where I am today. They have a very big business in the Southeast. They're a national, our top 20 general contractor, but they have a big Southeast presence that's headquartered here in Atlanta. And I ended up getting great experience being an in-house lawyer. And kind of in all of these collective experiences, I just really came to appreciate how much our industry struggles with contracts and risk of not just the contract itself, but all the contract documents that project teams are charged with administering every day. Project teams have to comply with those documents, yet they're not working in any supervised way. They oftentimes don't necessarily understand what they're doing, and sometimes they get it right, but the times that they may not get contract compliance right with those contract documents and something goes wrong, of which doesn't happen too infrequently in construction, that can create a big problem for our industry. And this was just my decade plus of experience being involved in billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of claims, billions of dollars of projects, hundreds of millions of dollars of claims. I just lived it. And all of these experiences really were at the foundation of why we created Document Crunch, where we're really trying to make our industry better around construction contracts, contract documents, and risk.
Yeah, your experience is so amazing. And I'm an architect, and typically we don't care anything about contracts. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. We end up just thinking in terms of the design phase and how the business is going to look. And that's such a problem because you can lose a lot of money or even worse than that. You were working at J. Dunn, and you were an in-house lawyer, but most firms don't have in-house lawyers. Do you think it's yeah? So
yeah,
how those companies deal with that?
It's that's at the very core of where we started with this, and the product that's become so popular is our risk review solution. Hey, before you sign it, by the way, of which engineers and architects are also using because they also are signing up for deals and need to understand the risks. But yeah, most of this industry doesn't have someone like me sitting in-house looking at every piece of paper before they sign it, and certainly would freak out if they have to pay my old law firm the hourly rate to do that work, right? So those are the folks that we had in mind off the bat when we formed Document Crunch, because we can help those folks. The contract doesn't have to be a black box. And while I'm not saying that we're a replacement for attorneys, I do think that people can educate themselves around some, if not a large portion of what's going on in a contract, and giving them at least a chance to understand what they're looking at, empowering them to understand what they're looking at. I'm not saying that we can guarantee that you're going to get the best terms negotiated. I'm not saying that we're going to change everything, but I would rather know if something was risky and plan for it and mitigate it, or make a business decision of whether I would even be willing to accept it. And bringing awareness to our industry was the very first part of our mission, empowering everyone to understand what's in their contracts. That is the stated mission of Document Crunch. And to your point, there's a lot of people in the industry that will benefit from this and that are benefiting from it. In fact, Valentin, I'm very proud of what we've already accomplished to date. I can stand here with a clear heart and say that I think we've already made our industry better just by empowering a big chunk of it to start understanding what's in its contracts better.
But it's not a lot of people. It's most people. It's 90% or 80% of the industry. They don't have, or even more.
When I was at J. Dunn, these numbers may not be completely right, but J. Dunn is one of the most sophisticated. It's a phenomenal company, and best in class general contractor, and probably had one of the more robust approaches to legal and risk management of any construction company that's out there. I'm going to use round numbers here. I think we had 4,500 employees there, and I was one of 12 lawyers. At the most robust circumstance, the lawyers weren't even 1% of the workforce. In the most robust, 3%. This is way more people can benefit from this.
Oh, it's insane. And I don't know if it's the best analogy, but it's kind of what is happening with all these LLMs or ChatGPT, that hey, it's gonna replace accountants, it's gonna replace software developers, and it is not. Sure, it's gonna help you a lot, but it's not gonna replace. But it can help you in 90% of the process. And we're just speaking about a generic tool, not something like what you are doing. This is super specific and super customized. So I cannot even imagine how much it can help. But
let me comment on that, because I think it's a misconception.
Sure.
First and foremost, this whole siren song of AI, you better be careful, because if you're just anyone can pull whatever they want out of AI right now, so that's great. But there's two potential problems. One, do you know what to even be pulling out of it? And two, do you know what you pulled out of it is accurate or right? And so I like to think a lot about what we're doing is more pushing the right insights to people at the right times. And there's a big difference between in my opinion, being in the vast sea of AI, like left to either pull the wrong information or like ask the wrong question or get the wrong answer, versus like getting very tight like workflow support that's purpose-built for the thing that you're doing, which goes back to the second point that you raised. I don't like to think about AI replacing people's jobs. I do believe that AI will replace certain scope, but those jobs still remain. So I'll give you a great analogy. I doubt that you are going to cook your dinner over an open fire tonight. If you actually you're in Miami, so who knows? Anything goes there. But I doubt that you're going to do that. But that doesn't mean that we still don't have chefs. My point being, technology has been enabling professions since way before AI. My kids are not going to do their math homework today on just a long piece of paper writing everything out. They may use a calculator. But mathematicians still exist. AI may reshape some of the work that we do, but it doesn't mean that it's going to replace the role itself. The role itself will evolve with new and hopefully higher value scope. You don't have to spend time today making a fire before you cook your dinner. You can spend your time marinating your ceviche instead. You get what I'm saying? There's higher value work to be done.
No, absolutely. Last week we have here at the podcast Anthony Hawk. I don't know if you know him. He's the leader at Hyper, another startup from the AC, and what they're doing is great. And we're discussing the same thing. The NVIDIA CEO, he just said that you need to learn how to code, that general artificial intelligence is going to come in 5 years, and it's going to... I don't know. I don't feel that's true. And I do feel, like you said, that it's like, for example, with architects. Architects, we end up doing most of the time in stuff that is not adding value to the project, right? Or it's something that it can be automated, like, for example, doing drawings, instead of us worrying about the actual product, which is the building. So I do agree on that it's just going to be that the stuff that is not adding too much value is something that will be automated. It will be checked by human anyway, but it will be automated, and then we will have more time to add more value and create better projects. So, and raise the bar of the industry. That's what I think is going to be the outcome of all this.
I agree. And I think just like any like new technology, the world has lost its marbles right now. But when you settle down, like, I guess there's 2 points. No, it's not going to replace you, but it will replace work. And 2, hold software developers accountable to actually solving real problems with it, not just like giving you a blank canvas. No, like, I think that purpose-built solutions, such as what we're doing at Document Crunch, of course, but I think that purpose-built solutions will win. Focus on the problem, not the technology itself.
Absolutely. Technology is just a tool. It's like trying to nail a screw with a hammer. Like, it's just a hammer. You cannot do everything with a hammer. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Right. And I don't know. I guess it's a common cycle of FOMO that every time there is a new technology, is going to like change the world, and everybody forgets that this happens basically every 2 or 3 years. It's the same thing, right? Like blockchain, or it's going to change the world. Well, incremental changes. Less FOMO and incremental changes. And it's the same with the metaverse. It's the same with this. Like, it's amazing for sure, but it's just incremental changes. And but I'm just curious. I bet you have seen the good, but also the bad in the industry regarding with companies not actually understanding what are they signing. What do you feel is the worst or the most common worst mistakes that people do when they don't know what they're signing, and then what are the outcomes of that?
I think that well, the outcomes are catastrophic. That I can say. The people not knowing, what they're signing can manifest in a lot of different ways. But I've been in so many situations where someone has been surprised or, has lost a big case that really just revolved around like just not understanding what they signed up for. Again, to me, it's not like, oh, I signed up for something unfair. I should have negotiated better. To me, it's more like, whoa, I signed up for something that imposed liability on me and I didn't get insurance for it because I didn't know that I was signing up for it. And now I don't have insurance for it. And now like I have to pay out of my pocket, or, we just didn't realize what the magnitude of this would have been, and, or, things like that. And that's when you really see the worst of it. But, it's kind of the same, what you're saying. I mean, what's most pervasive is the team's not understanding what was signed up for, whether it was in the scope or how you administrate the project, and then losing money, $100,000 here, $50,000 there, because they don't have rights to a delay, because they would have gotten the rights to a delay, but they didn't administrate the contract the right way because they didn't understand what they signed up, what the company signed up for. That's where I actually think you see like the most frequency of it. Like there's the catastrophic outcomes that we can talk about, all the horror stories, but luckily they don't occur too much. When they occur, it's terrible. But much more frequently is it's raining today in Atlanta. The team didn't know that it had to give notice within 24 hours of a rain delay, or it waived its claims. It's now lost the right to a delay claim.
Oh, sure. And for me, I'm just curious on how you feel is gonna be the future in terms of like documents, or do you feel how it's going to change? Like, is it going to be something that is going to change completely the way we do contracts? Like, for example, specs, right? Specs is it's not as bad as contracts, but it's part of a contract, and people sometimes they don't understand specs, and it's also a big problem because might end up losing a lot of money, and that needs to change as well. So
I'll tell you, Valentin, we now have people using document contract specifications like frequently for these purposes as well. Quick insights out of specs. You're walking the job site, you can get quick insights, whatever it is. Yeah, I mean, so when you ask about how it's going to change, I think it's going to change everything. Like we have now put in place essentially a 365 day a year, 24/7, like I'm going to call it a contract genius that you have at your fingertips to protect you through every workflow that relates to contract compliance. No matter what you're looking at, we now have that in document crunch, and it has been adopted by thousands of project teams over the last several months since we started orienting more toward, hey, it's not just doing the risk assessment in the back office, it's you need this all day. You're in the OAC meeting and someone's telling you can't have there's no allowable markup, and now you're able with document crunch to say, actually, there is, please sign the change order. Someone comes into your office, you're the architect, and says, I don't know what we're doing on this project. You're able to quickly get in, see what's going on. There's a million use cases now that have emerged, and we're 24/7, 365-day protection to provide instant transparency into this black box. It will greatly change our approach to contracting. It already has, and again, I feel good in saying that.
That's so cool. I'm an architect in prehab. I work with technology now, and not so much with specs, but I remember those days, and it was hard. But do you feel that this is gonna be implemented as well as like to RFIs and even emails? Like even emails, when you get requests like that then you end up having discussions because you didn't understand even an email. Do you feel that is?
Yeah, it's funny, I think email to me in the near term is going too far, but yes, the mission that we are on is to empower the industry to get better outcomes from their contract documents. That includes things like pay apps, lien waivers, emails, notices, specifications, you name it, contract documents. We believe that we can connect all of those documents, provide a very deep risk intelligence platform around those documents, and prevent and be proactive around risk management as a result.
And let me put you on the spot just a little bit. You're speaking about risk management, but do you feel that you can also help in contract negotiations as well? Or
we do right now. I mean, that's our primary use case is all around the whole contract negotiation phase. Like that's what we became known for back office using us during bidding and negotiation of contracts. That's what our, that's where Document Crunch really came on the scene. And now effective, I mean, we're launching this major release with Procore next week. The next phase of our mission is automating contract document compliance for project teams. And that's starting like effective now. And so, yes, it is quite literally, it's not construction contract crunch, it is document crunch. And we believe that contract documents for construction teams and industry stakeholders, we can automate compliance around those.
Before moving forward into what does the future of document crunch in the next, 10 years, I would love to hear a little bit of how were the first years, like the first, second, third year of a startup are the hardest years, but you have grown so fast in just, you started in 2019, right?
Yeah, so we're a little over 5 years old now. To answer your question, the first 2 years, I didn't leave my day job. Like we were still in stealth. We were doing this nights and weekends. We were like very slow going, developing it. We launched right before the pandemic. I've been the CEO for 3 years now. Next month will be 3 years where I've been full-time into this. And, if I think about it day by day, it can be a grind. If I look back, yes, we have grown quite a bit. When I joined the company, I think I was employee number 3. We'd raised like a tiny little bit of mostly we're self-funded. In 3 short years, we've raised about $18 million and grown from 3 to 50 employees, grown from a couple of customers to a lot of customers. And, it's not like we have everything figured out at all. Like there's a lot of challenges that a company faces of any size or any phase, and every day does feel different. But what I will say is I could not have said this 3 years ago. We have a product that the industry loves and is getting value out of every single day. In fact, we had our first customer advisory board meeting yesterday, and I purposely wasn't involved in the selection. Some of the customers on that, I don't even know. And in listening to these folks talk about their experience with Document Crunch, it just filled my heart so much because I know we've already made a difference. Like I feel strongly. So 3 years ago, I could not say that we had a product that the industry loved. 3 years ago, I could not say that we were considered the standard in this category for our industry. 3 years ago, I could not say that I had a world-class team of human beings that are doing just incredible feats of work every day, like while I'm sitting here talking to you. And so while we don't have things figured out, yes, in some ways it feels easier because when you have a product that the industry loves, life gets a lot easier. When you have a team that is just crushing it every day, life does get easier. But I would say where the struggle now still comes from is 2 things. One, man, do we have a special culture here. And that culture has withstood that, call it first 10 employees, first 30 employees, and now first 50 employees. The struggle for me is what I stay up and think about at night is like, how do I make sure, sorry, I got a little thumb thing there. How do I make sure that we keep whatever this thing is? I mean, if you talk to the crunchers right now, if you talk to most people there, we've got some seasoned people there, and they'll just tell you that this is not only the most special business opportunity they've had, but it's the most special place that they've been at. It just feels like something's different with what we're doing, and I'm happy to talk into what I think that is, but how do I maintain that? So that's one. The other thing that I think about is, and I think this goes a little bit into the future, which you're talking about, when you're growing at the pace that we're growing at, there is like no time to settle. I am not the CEO today that I was 3 years ago. And I know that I am not currently equipped to be the CEO that we will need in 3 years from now. So that's me in my role, which means that all of us at Document Crunch have that challenge. So what are we doing to be growth minded, to invest in ourselves, to invest in our team, to prepare us for how fast this is going. That's a challenge. Those two things are big challenges. They're not easy.
No, they're not. And it sounds so easy when you mention, like, we have a product that the industry loves, and that's extremely easy. I've seen so many startups trying to get to that point, and they have even most startups fail because they cannot even get a product that the market loves. So how do you feel? What was the key for you to get to that point?
It's such a good question. And to answer the first 2.5 years was that. The first 2.5 years was, this was a good idea. How do we turn it into a great product? Two things that I would say were keys in our journey. Actually, three things. Number one, I'm obsessed with this problem. I don't care about tech. I really don't. But I do care about the problem. And it's something that I understood deeply. And so I had a very strong vision around. That was key. And my co-founder, Adam, same thing. Like, we had experience in this. Like, we understood the problem, even though we weren't tech people. That's one. Two, finding great people. Like, I know when I had a group of consultants that were helping me with my tech roadmap. I didn't even know what that was. Right after I became the CEO 3 years ago, Trent, Will, and Hala, they were like this successful group of product and engineering folks who've been behind a couple of other really successful products. I hired them as consultants to help me start thinking about this. And when they came to me and said, we believe in you and we believe in this, and like, we want to join, like, I just knew in my gut that whatever it took to have them join, we had to make happen. That's my chief operating officer, my VP of product, and my VP of platform. Guess what? I didn't get us to product market fit. They took that idea and took, like, that MVP and took it to a product that the industry loves. So people, finding the right people, they're incredible human beings that have been by my side. Like, 3 years is a long time in the industry. It's not quite 3 years yet. It's because they were a little bit out there. So it's called 2.5 years. They've been by me for a pretty long time now. And actually more than that. Yeah, almost 3 years now. I'm looking at what today's date is. And that's a big deal. And that continuity, connecting with those people, getting zero daylight between my vision of what the problem was and then them building a product that met that vision. So that's 2. 3, luck. I mean, I feel very grateful that I met those 3. Circumstances were right for that. You know, I do believe that I am one of those people that believes that you can make a lot of your own luck, but I still think that a little bit of luck comes into play. And I'll give you a perfect example. We had already had product market fit. We'd already had a product that the industry loved, but then, you know, what was lucky for me? This whole generative AI movement was like the clouds parted and just the heavens sent me something on my doorstep, because one, it had direct application to the problem that we were already solving. We weren't like, oh, here's a cool technology. We're like, oh, we're solving, our podcast goes on 1x. This can make it go on 10x. Wow, look at that. Like, it just works. 2, the whole world became collectively conscious that solutions like Document Crunch were going to become mainstream, and that's luck. So luck is also, I think, a part of it. But the 2 things are a deep love for the problem and experience solving the problem. People. My mom would tell you what a smart boy I am. She would tell you how special I am. Here's the reality. Yes, like, I had a good understanding of a problem, but like, what has turned into Document Crunch is not an idea. What's turned into Document Crunch is that we put people on the bus that have turned this into something like far beyond. Even today, customers speak yesterday, far beyond what I could have imagined. I was just, before with you, I was on a call with our product manager, Miguel. He was showing us his plans as we're starting to impact projects. I was just like looking at him, his stuff, and I got choked up. It's like, I never would have thought of this. Like, this is now like beyond me. People. So find the right people that can help you get from where you want to be, or where you are, to where you want to be. And that would be the main 2 ingredients.
I love that You also mentioned people like it's easy. It's also super hard to decide which people to select. It's not an easy task. It is how the right people is going to match the culture of the team. So it's a double problem. But I'm sure that, and I also love what you said about my mama said I'm smart. For sure, I don't think you're dumb at all, because you're creating a great product, a great team, and everything. But not necessarily you have to be the smartest guy out there. It's like Jeff Bezos said that. Like he just considers himself a regular guy. Like he says, I'm not the smartest engineer. I'm not the fastest. I'm not a creative person at all. For sure, he has a lot of great qualities, I'm sure, but he was only obsessed with the quality of the product and the quality of the team that was putting together that product. Just that. He was 24/7 obsessed with that. And these are his words. And for me, I believe in that. You don't have to be the smartest or the guy who knows most about everything. It's just about being obsessed with what you're putting together.
Well, since you brought up Bezos, I have to tell you, since you're in Miami, fun fact, he's older than me, but Bezos and I graduated from the same high school, Miami-Dade, Miami Palmetto Senior High School. But since he was saying to everyone how he wasn't that smart, for the record, he was the valedictorian of my high school class, I don't know, 10 or 15 years before I was there. I was definitely not the valedictorian of my high school class. So somewhere on the prism, Bezos is likely smarter than me and is probably likely smarter than what he tells people. And I think that we all could agree that that's the case. But anyway, yeah, man, same high school. So my hope one day is to be the second best entrepreneur. Oh my gosh. The second best entrepreneur from Miami Palmetto Senior High, because I don't know if I'll ever unseat Bezos.
Well, you never know, but being the second after Bezos,
no shame.
It's almost like, no shame at all. It's like being the best in the world for sure. I didn't know he graduated from Miami. He's living in Miami now.
Oh. Well, he and I went to the same high school. Isn't that wild?
It's just insane. Small world for sure. But yeah, even when we know he's incredibly smart, it's about not considering yourself the smartest or trying to prove that you're the smartest, whatever, lawyer, engineer, or software developer. It's not about that. It doesn't even matter. Like, it matters what team you're putting together.
Oh, well, I think there's a better way to say it. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but we're having this discussion. So, as great of a trophy as I should get for my mama being so proud of me, guess what being so smart is? It's not scalable. What's scalable is people. What's scalable is empowering people. What's scalable is finding great people. That is what is scalable. So you could be as smart or as dumb as you want, but you've got to find the right people, or else you're just not going to build something scalable.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it's even worse. Sometimes if you're extremely smart, you could be really good at one thing, but you might be missing teamwork or some of the other skills that, like you said, it's not going to be scalable. But I don't want to get philosophical here and what's smart, what's not smart, but I don't want to get into that rabbit hole. But now I want to hear what do you think Document Crunch is going to look in 10 years or 15 years?
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to know. But I do have a vision. And here's what I've learned, Valentin. So we're in the second phase of our mission now. We're starting to empower project teams in addition to that initial back office kind of use case that we've had. I envision an end-to-end risk intelligence platform that is not only automating workflows, but providing predictive, analysis around where potential risk is, and also, some data and benchmarking. That's all well and good. That's the product horizon. But here's the thing that I'm actually most inspired by. And so I think this will answer your question. I am very confident, I always was, but I started actually validating recently that this is a global problem. This is a global product. This is a global company. And so I do believe that we will be addressing what we are addressing way outside the boundaries of North America over that next period of time. I don't think it's going to take 10 or 15 years, but I guess my point is I could see us having a worldwide solution that makes the construction industry worldwide less risky. And I'm really excited about that. So spent some time in the Middle East recently, was in Dubai, started also working with some stakeholders in Saudi Arabia. I'm heading out to Europe. I was there last year. I'm heading out again this summer. There is demand for what Document Crunch is doing from sea to shining sea. And, we're going to have to pick our expansion carefully, but we have a true global opportunity, and that's not one that I want to let go by the wayside. So I think that over the next 10 to 15 years, you can expect to see us solving a global problem.
I will see you. I'm sure you will accomplish that. And like most of my life, I lived between South America and Europe, and I can guarantee you that there are even bigger problems in the US, because sometimes there are not even standards. Here, you even have specs that at least are following standards, and it's easier to understand. In many of these countries, there are not even standards, and it's even much more complex, and the problems are bigger. So I'm sure your solution can solve a lot of huge problems outside the US. So I don't want to take more of your time. I know you're a busy guy. I know you just did another podcast. Hope this podcast is better than the previous one you just did. But
we talked about my high school in Ceviche 105, man. You're in my hometown of Miami. I don't know how we could do much better than this. Are you a Miami Heat fan?
Yeah. But basically, every time, that's the first team I started following. I live, it's like 10 blocks from the stadium. So for me, it's easy. I just walk to the stadium, come back to Edgewater.
Bam Adebayo right here, man. This is on my desk. So I'm a big Miami Heat fan.
You're in Atlanta, but you still follow the hits.
Yep.
Hey, and by the way, I'm going to make sure I send you the ranking of the best restaurants out there. So promise this experience is going to be better than any other podcast. But before we wrap up, are you okay if I ask you a couple of ping pong questions?
Let's do it.
I promise these are not going to be hard questions. So can you tell me a great AC software in nowadays?
The greatest one, you said?
Yeah, the greatest one.
I'm going to say Document Crunch.
Sure. There's no discussion. This is ping pong. So we're going to judge you. The next big trend in AC?
Automated workflows to de-risk the industry.
If you could collaborate with any person in history on any project, which person would you choose?
I'm going to stick with my roots. I'm going to say Pat Riley on how to build a sustaining culture of excellence.
Interesting. Outside the AC, do you have any hobbies or activities you like to do?
I've got 2 young girls that keep me super busy. I love to work out. I love sports, and my biggest passion in the world is travel.
Cool. What's your favorite building in the world, and have you ever visited?
Well, I'm going to have to say I was in Dubai a few weeks ago, and I got to see Burj Khalifa, the largest tower in the world. That was incredible. I think I was 146 stories up. Actually, I interviewed one of my investors on LinkedIn, like a video blog from the top of it, and we had a great time. So I'm going to say that is, for now, that is my current favorite building in the world, because I was just there.
By the way, you're mentioning, I saw that video, the guy from Zagwa Ventures, right?
Yeah. He's a dear friend, and we were the first investment Zakua made. And just love Vivint. And yeah, they had officially announced the closing of their fund that day. And I was like, let's just go to the top of the world right now and talk about it. And so it was awesome.
Cool place to do that.
Yeah, we were there. We were planning to have been there, but not like that day. And anyway,
like that.
Yeah.
I love it that it was not planned. And then finally, are there any books you recommend to people who are starting a journey like yours?
I'm looking at it right now. I think that the 2 books would be The Hard Thing About Hard Things, which everyone knows. It's a tremendous book if you're going to start a journey like mine. But then the other book that I think is fantastic, that's not as well known, it's called The Messy Middle by Scott Belsky. The messy middle, the whole concept is everybody romanticizes about the start of a company and the end of a company. But there's a lot of crap that goes on day to day, going back to like we were talking about. And I think that The Messy Middle is a great insight into how to steel yourself for the day to day that comes with such an ambitious endeavor, such as starting a company.
I love to read. You can see all my books. I will make sure to read one.
It's excellent. It's excellent.
Okay. This was incredibly great. Can you tell people where they can know more about Document Crunch and also contact you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So if you just want to search Josh Levy Document Crunch, you'll find me. Otherwise, Document Crunch you can locate us at www.documentcrunch.com. Yeah, we'd love to chat.
Hey, be careful when you said to Google your name, because the mayor of Hollywood his name is Josh Levy. I don't know that, but
what do you mean you don't know if I know that? I told you I grew up down there. You know how many freaking text messages I get from my friends and family? Oh, you're running for office. Just this weekend, one of my buddies. So I know exactly who Josh Levy, three-term mayor of Hollywood, Florida is.
I didn't know if you knew. Anyway, thanks very much for being here, and I hope you got a great rest of your day, man.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks to our listeners. If you like this content, you can find past and upcoming episodes in ascworks.everse.com and at all of our Everse social media. We'd love to hear from you and recommendations for new content, so leave us a DM and we'll make sure to catch it.